Hey, I want you to meet Lisa. Lisa came into my work about 8 months ago, and when she came into this work of nervous system health and learning how to really rewire everything in her body, she was very skeptical. She was struggling with a lot of immune related problems, intestinal problems, allergies, and she also didn't realize that she was actually very, very unhappy in certain aspects of her life. So have a listen to what she has to say about how this course has shifted and changed her entire outlook on health, healing, how she does her work, and even her relationships. Lisa, hello.
Hello.
So you just completed the New Inner Game with us.
Yep.
Could you give us an overview of how life was before you took the New Inner Game and started to learn about the nervous system?
I think to start with, I thought I was quite educated on the system, especially going to university, learning about the body, learning about the sort of psychosocial aspect of the body. So I thought I had a bit of a grasp on it. Life before was very much quite shut down, really. Just didn't really take life too serious. Probably didn't care too much, just quite laid back. Well, now I've realised that laid backness wasn't technically the being sort of uninterested, and just feeling that there was something not right, but then concentrating too much on, everything is fine because there's way worse things happening in this world. But the more I was pretending and feeling fine, the more my IBS symptoms were just awful, horrible. Eczema everywhere, a lot of asthma constantly, sort of waking up with asthma. I had sort of eczema all around my eyes here, on both elbows, behind my knees. And also, if I had indulged in any kind of the naughty food, I'd just be itching all over, constantly itching, and my nose would be itching, and it was just really, really aggravating. But I just thought it was all normal and just thought, well, I've had this since as long as I can remember. I've tried everything. It is what it is, and that's fine in some ways. I just thought, well, what have I got to complain about, really?
Right. So you had, for those that don't, IBS, which is irritable bowel, so your digestion was off. You had skin problems, allergies.
Yeah.
You were, if I can recall, you were doing a lot of healthy things, right?
Very, very healthy, yeah.
Can you tell us what you were doing? Because I think this is what's so interesting about your story in particular.
So I did loads and loads of cleanses, quite extreme cleanses at times, but a lot of detoxing, a lot of colonic irrigation. I would be that healthy person of my group of friends, and they'd all say, "Oh, do you have to be that healthy?" And I think they must have seen that as healthy as I was, I've still, I didn't present myself as being the healthiest person, but I followed all the kind of strict, clean diet and whatnot. And with my exercising, I'd exercise a lot, and I couldn't be any healthier, really, because I'd also tried to do some alternative therapies to feel okay as well.
And then the other thing I want to add, because we know each other really well now, you also have a really caring, supportive husband.
Mm-hmm.
So, some people might be wondering, well, what was your environment like socially? But you had that, and you were still having all these immune system problems.
Yeah, so it's been a good 5-6 years where I've been quite really conscious about who's in my life, and I have been sort of working on my environment more than anything, of what friends I have, what impact they have on me, to the point where my wedding guest list was purely 90%, the friends that had unconditional love. Yeah, so environment, where I live, the safety of where I live. I studied somewhere which was really quite intense and quite scary neighbourhood. So, just moved to an environment where I sort of proactively made sure it was a good environment and just have nice, supportive people around me who just like me for me. So yeah, that was the environment I kind of tried to build really for this healthy lifestyle.
Can you talk a little bit about the first moment you had like this, oh my goodness, this is an important piece, learning about my nervous system and the trapped trauma and stress that was inside? Do you remember one of those moments? Because I know there were a few.
Yeah, I think the first moment was because you knew my brother before, and it was a weekend where suddenly I couldn't make sense of anything I was feeling. I was feeling just out of control, overwhelmed, and for some reason or another, me and my brother were able to speak that weekend. Because I was, I suppose, complaining in some ways of I shouldn't be feeling like this. So all past traumas, I should just be over it by now, and with the environment I'm in, I shouldn't be affected. And suddenly I'm feeling like actually the world should and is feeling like it's gonna end. And he literally said, it is important to you. And he spoke to me about, this is your body, you're clearly feeling this. And that's when I went back to your emails and just resonated so much, especially with the 21-day course. And just from literally the first day, the first hour, it was just straight away like, this makes perfect sense. It just, in my body, I felt like, well, of course. Like this makes perfect sense, but on a level which I would never have thought. And I think, especially from reading so much around it, I've just realised that it's your body that those traumas have happened to, and it's your nervous system that has been affected. You just can't compare yourself to other people because it's what you're feeling inside.
Yeah. Some of the things that often are asked are, well, it worked for you. You know, how do I know it's going to help me? Like, so there's going to be people watching this that are like, oh, you know, well, that's her system. How do I know this is going to work for my system? What would you say to those people that are kind of like skeptical of, well, I also have autoimmune problems, but you know, that's not going to happen for me. Would you have anything to say to those folks?
When my brother spoke to me about it, I thought, you know, I've tried everything. So why is this any different? No offense, Irene, but you know, here's someone else that's going to tell me everything's going to be sorted if you do this, this, and this. It's, I think, because it works so much on your physical responses and how you feel, because you don't have to talk about them directly of how you're feeling. You can sense the feeling. So I think I spent so much time with a counsellor just talking about what had happened, and just the fact that you actually start sensing what it feels like inside your body, then it becomes important to you individually, because you can't explain or tell anybody how it really feels inside.
And I think this is an important piece, is because everyone is individual, obviously.
Yeah.
And everyone's got a different history, different traumatic experiences. And, you know, we're not going to talk about your specifics, but needless to say, they were pretty traumatic. And you still were very functional. You went to university. You're a physical therapist, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're someone that was quote unquote normal and successful and making it on your own.
Had it all together.
Yeah. So you weren't this person that was sitting in a room, unable to walk outside and be in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there were all these little pieces that weren't quite in place, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Until I started the course, I didn't feel all these different bits. It was all in my mind. I need something to sort something, but I couldn't pinpoint what that something was. And I then realised how dissociated I became from my body.
What was your favorite part of the 12-week course? Because you started with my prerequisite, which is the 21-day tune-up, and then you went on to do the big guy. What was your favorite part about the learning?
Probably the videos, because I learned a lot from sort of images and seeing things in front of me and having it explained as well with pictures. But also their training calls. It was quite repeated, but repeated in a really good way, because it just brought home the information that you're learning. So that was extremely helpful, and it was just nice to hear other people's questions and how they were getting on as well.
Now, one thing that I think is also really cool is, you're a physical therapist. You've been working in a hospital setting, and tell us the epiphany that you've had.
That I'm retired.
Retired. That's right. You're how old again?
Too young.
Too young to retire. Tell the people watching what you mean by you're retired right now.
So after university, well, for one, the university funds you to do the course, and it's funded by our National Health Service. So you do all your training in the hospitals, and it's kind of the path is to go down and start working in the hospitals, and started working. And I think it was all actually going quite fine, because it's a job I wanted to do. I felt like I was helping people. I was in a caring environment where, to me, I felt like people needed your help, and so many people were sick but needed your help, and you were one of those professions that could help the situation. During the course and after the course, I sort of then kind of woke up from, 20 odd years of being laid back to the point I'm on my back and just felt so much emotions and so much I started to really get uncomfortable with the people I was working with, where it was 90% of the diseases were really from lifestyle choices. And with that, I also felt like I just couldn't help people. I felt I was just there to help with some pain, help with their walking and whatnot, and that was the extent of it, where, I just became really frustrated and just realised that, God, there's so much more I can do here as a physical therapist. But within our National Health Service, I wouldn't be able to really, because you wouldn't have, I'd be going against my code of conduct, really. I'd be probably struck off with trying to implement other stuff. What happened then was this, I suppose, grieving process of, this isn't actually the organisation I can work for, because actually, what am I helping people with? Nothing really. I'm being directed by physicians to take high doses of medication to help with their pain, and it was so kind of just focused on this pain, and then I was listening to the advice of the doctors, and I just couldn't do it anymore, and felt that the community and everything surrounding it just needed a different approach altogether. And I think the approach I had to give in the hospital just made me feel so uncomfortable, to the point where I was sick for nearly 5 weeks, where I couldn't work, and then I tried to get back to work 3 times, and I came up in a rash, vomited a lot, all these physical symptoms from basically my body saying, just, that's it, finish. There's nothing you can do to help in this organisation.
And it's, you went through the course, the New Inner Game, you learned all this stuff about your nervous system, you improved your health by just learning and practicing, right? There's no supplements, nothing like that. And then as you got, I'm just reiterating this, as you got healthier, you started to realize that this work environment was just unhealthy.
Probably one of the most unhealthiest work environments, you know, and you're surrounded by health professionals. Yeah.
So now tell us what you're excited about doing and looking into now that you've got this different lens.
I'm hoping to start my own practice where I would just like to be able to have private clients but work a lot into the community with just education, because what I see and what I've found is that education just isn't there, especially in pockets of communities where there wouldn't be a chance for that sort of education, and the education just isn't thorough enough really to get to the bottom of it, and just conduct workshops and just do something that I feel that, because it's worked for me, why on earth can't I try and help people in the same way, really? Because it's changed my life completely.
And just for the record, you are able to now eat what that you weren't able to eat before that would give you reaction?
Most things. I think I was one of those people that was just had a long list of intolerances, and down to even tomatoes, like just yeah, very, very long list where, like, by all means I don't go crazy now, but it's so nice to have a glass of wine and not have a blocked nose, headache, itching everywhere. It's just nice. It just makes me feel, I get the actual relaxation feeling from a glass of red wine.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I love your story. It just shows the power of how this work can really go to that root cellular level,
Yeah.
and make changes, not just that with the immune system, but with how you see your work, how you see yourself providing for others. What would you say to someone watching this who is totally on the fence about entering into this program and this learning? If you could dive into your deep cells and give them, what would your cells want to say to these people that aren't quite sure that this is for them?
Yeah, I mean, I can completely appreciate sitting on the fence to start with everything else that people have probably tried. Sitting on the fence is completely natural and normal. Yeah, it's just changed my life. I'm no one special, really. I mean, the course is scary at times, but because it's scary and it's hard, and you learn that there's no emotion as a negative emotion, you then find a whole massive amount of compassion for yourself. So as much as the hard bits are hard and scary and things you've probably haven't experienced in a long time from an emotional point of view, just you learn so much about your relationships.
How did you relate to those, what we would call panic attacks before, and now how do you view them?
So before, I'd view one as just why is it happening to me? Why is it here? And I'm just sitting on the couch and I'm relaxing, and then suddenly I'm having a panic attack. So, so you'd go through the motions of trying to breathe properly. Well, slow your breathing down. So as we've learned, you're manipulating your breathing rather than, now I think, okay, my breathing's getting a bit quick, but that's okay because it's just like I'm not gonna die. And then you just go through the step by step of, okay, well, my heart rate's going up, and then if I feel chest pain, I think, well, of course I feel chest pain. I've directed all my thinking to this part of my body. Not, and to be fair, panic attacks are non-existent. Yeah, pretty much.
They've been, for lack of a better word, cured. And it doesn't mean that you won't feel intense sensation, but it sounds like you are just knowing what to do with it without pushing it down into your body more. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. One last thing I'd love you to share with whoever's watching this. You mentioned a moment ago that some of the things are scary and uncomfortable. What would you want to say about that now that you've come out the other side?
That it completely comes to an end. I think my thinking, whenever anything like that would happen, or I'd feel emotions, I'd think, that's it. It's never going to end. And now, at least, especially in the course, you've got so much more hope for, actually, this is just what I need to feel at the moment. And by doing the course, and with so much that you explain and go through, you just then, it's like you're having a chat with yourself and saying, well, this is pretty horrific, but it is going to end. And I suppose if I relate it back to my training, athletics, if I train on a Sunday, I'm just getting a few steps closer to the end goal, really. You just know that it's not going to be forever. But you know why, because you've educated by your course.